of Myanmar. Does the conference to postpone the adoption of Myanmar papers?
I see no objection.
I see no objection. Then approved. In addition to what has been said, considering the information provided the Secretary with regard to the documentation of a mandate in Afghanistan, the conference has accepted the adoption. Do the convention agree the adoption of Afghanistan documentations?
Is there any floor?
Is there any floor?
I see no objection.
I see no objection, so it's been approved. In addition, the office has considered in the meeting of 14th December with respect to the adoption of the scanner documentation through the email accordingly. What agreed upon the office, the Secretariat has requested the orientation. Therefore, to follow the participation in the context of the United Nations meetings, the Committee of the Mandate documentation has received a copy of the formal one, including the scanned or received by email. As reviewed, the revision of the documentation, including the names of the delegates. The committee being reported of the following practice of the General Assembly as well as the other UN entities. With respect to the cases, the official convention to provide temporary and permanent documentation, for example, getting formal or verbal documentation. I can report on the name of the office. Among of 140 member states, the 9th edition 111 has committed the documentations being provided electronically, whereas 120 members refused or never submitted. It is firmly that it's on the shoulder of its member state to commit with the documentation according to the 18th article of the convention. Therefore, I call upon the members, the state, to provide the Secretariat of the original documentation not before 13th of January the 22 of the 2022. Thank you for your members. Therefore, we conclude our consideration in this article. On to the article number 10 to adopt the report. Your Excellency, delegates, esteemed delegates, will give the floor to the state of Iran. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think nobody sees me because of the big room. So thank you, Mr. President. I would like to deliver an explanation of position on the report of the Credential Committee. My delegation would like to put on the record that taking note of the report of the Credential Committee constitutes by no means and under any circumstances the recognition of the regime of Israel. I request that my delegation's reservation on this agenda item be duly recorded in the official report of the Credential Committee of the conference. Thank you, Mr. Chair. سنأخذ تحفظكم في الاعتبار.
We'll consider your reservation.
هل هناك أي مداخلات أخرى؟
Is there any other intervention?
شكرا.
Thank you.
ننتقل
We
الآن
move on to the article number 10, to the adoption of the report, Your Excellency. We move on to Article 10 to adopt the report. Before we start, I would like to remind you that the conference has adopted two reporters recently on Wednesday. The taken procedure is reflected in CCC on L1 at 9. That we'll consider when we start to adopt or approve the report. We'll consider to adopt the resolution accordingly on the unofficial delegation debate, and I will give now the floor to the General Secretary to adopt the report. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to introduce first draft resolution CAC/COSP/2021/L3 Rev 1, entitled the Sharm El Sheikh Declaration on Strengthening International Cooperation in the Prevention of and Fight Against Corruption during Times of Emergencies and Crisis Response and Recovery. The draft resolution has been approved in informal consultation, and it is sponsored by Armenia, Brazil, Burkina Faso, Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Egypt, Honduras, Jordan, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, the State of Palestine, the United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Guatemala, Paraguay, the European Union, and the European Union on behalf of its member states, and Cyprus.
هل أعتبر أن المؤتمر يود اعتماد هذا
Consider the
القرار؟
convention wish to adopt the resolution. You followed. I'll give the floor now to the delegation of Canada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. Canada would like clarification when the appropriate moment might be to raise our flag to add our name to the list of co-sponsors. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. هل أعتبر أن المؤتمر
Shall I consider the convention to wish to adopt the said resolution? Are there any other responses?
اسم الدولة؟ أعتمد القرار.
I approve the resolution.
أعطي الكلمة الآن لوفد
We're
جمهورية
now
مصر
to the delegation of Egypt.
شكرا سيد الرئيس.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Your Excellency, the esteemed, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Pleases me in the outset to extend to you the great thanks and appreciation for your efforts to prepare and develop the declaration of Sharm El Sheikh, issued in the meeting as considered the first unique one to extend to enforce the international cooperation to one of the important fields of our peoples in fighting corruption in the light and the time of emergencies and the recovery. Such a delegation reflected the international concern of enforcing such in measurement and convey a message that the crisis will not hinder our joint efforts to fight corruption and cooperate in prevent it. You, Mr. Chairman, presented the declaration of Sharm El Sheikh comes the main edition of the General Assembly that affirmed the importance of taking the appropriate measurements to fight the corruption. Sharm El Sheikh Declaration is an added value of international value to confront the corruption through the times of crisis. The Declaration of Sharm is affirming the close relationship of the international strategies and measurement to confront the corruption, as well as the international effort in enforcing the cooperation as such, as encouraging all the member persons to follow all the appropriate measurement in the light of emergencies and enforces the awareness and acknowledgement of other forms of corruption. Declaration of Sharm El Sheikh is the first documentation to put the guidelines to cooperate of such a phenomenon during crisis, and we hope to enforce the international cooperation as such. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Thank you to the representatives of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Are there any other responses who wish to explore the resolution? I'll give the floor now to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will read out the co-sponsors that are recognized, and please only lower your flag once you've heard your name. I have Canada, Kuwait, Morocco, Peru, Indonesia, and the United States of America. Oman, Thank you, Mr. President.
ننتقل الآن إلى القرار
On to the following resolution, and now I'll give the floor to the General Secretary to articulate the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next draft resolution is contained in document CIC/COSP/2021/L4 Rev 1. It's entitled Our Common Commitment to Effectively Addressing Challenges and Implementing Measures to Prevent and Combat Corruption and Strengthening International Cooperation.
وتعزيز التعاون الدولي.
To follow the special editions of the General Assembly to fight the corruption, to the resolution being approved by Egypt, Mexico, Lebanon, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Chile, Italy, Morocco, Oman, Spain, Finland, and Belgium, and the United States of America, Malawi, and Norway. Is there any comment on the said draft resolution? Shall I consider the Congress wish to adopt the said resolution? I cannot see any rejection to its being adopted. Are there any delegation wish to articulate a statement commenting the draft resolution? Is there any other delegation wish to participate the considerations of such resolution? Please raise the flag of your country, and the Secretariat will articulate the draft resolution.
I believe it's the U.S. Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. President.
شكرا حضرة الرئيس.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll move on upon to resolution number 3. You have the floor, Mr. Secretary General, to announce the resolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So our
شكرا
next
جزيلا حضرة الرئيس.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The draft resolution on the content CCC Rev 1, and it's titled the follow-up of Abu Dhabi Declaration in enforcement the accounting officers as well as combating corruption entities in order to use the IT followed by Dominica, Egypt, Lebanon, Iran, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Guatemala, and the European Union and Ukraine. Shall I consider the convention wish to adopt the said resolution? Can I see any rejection or? And as adopted. Any delegation wish to state a comment? I'll give the floor to the United Arab Emirates delegation. You have the floor, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. The delegation of our country wish to appreciate the full support provided by the member state to support the presented resolution. But we will look forward to open the floor to enforce the IT, to execute the agreement and raise the level of the agenda into advanced levels in order to develop our acknowledgement in appreciating the role and the vital role of technology in raising the levels of the measurement of confronting the corruption and minimize its harmful impact in the light of the last period. But some countries wish to postpone their adoption. Therefore, we hope to enforce our joint work in the future in aiming to the required consensus that reflected the aspirations of the member states and achieve to execute the resolution of the convention, in particular the program of execution of Abu Dhabi Declaration financed by our country. And I wish to seize this opportunity to extend my great appreciation and thanks to all member states for their participation in considering the draft resolution. To conclude, Mr. President, I wish to express the deep thanks and appreciation to our brotherly Egypt for its great organization of the conference, as well as the warm hospitality, your wise leadership of the proceeding of the convention. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the delegation of UAE. Are there any other delegations who wish to participate in adopting the resolutions? Please raise the text of your name.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I recognize Oman, Peru, Kuwait, and
عمان البيرو الكويت
I
وباكستان.
recognize the Oman, Peru, and Pakistan.
the US, Indonesia,
The USA, Indonesia,
China.
China.
We just confirm whether China wishes to.
نود أن نتأكد فقط
We
إذا
just
كان
wish to confirm that China wishes to consider the draft resolution.
Russia online.
Russia,
كلا الصين كلا.
China, no.
شكرا على التوضيح.
Thank you for your clarification. Russia,
Thank you, Mr. President.
شكرا لك.
thank you, Mr. President. I give the floor now to Secretary General to articulate draft resolution number 4.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
القرار التالي يرد
They
في
followed
الدبلوماسية على
included in,
سبيل
in
على
documentation
أخي
CCC
21
on 2021 on L1
تحت عنوان تعزيز
under the title of enforcement the combating corruption by the consideration of Egypt, Honduras, Lebanon, Morocco, Mozambique, Portugal, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, Guatemala, European Union, on behalf of its member state. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Shall I consider the convention wish to adopt the draft resolution? There's no rejection to the resolution has been adopted. Is there any delegation wish to say their statement? Is there any representatives who wish to participate in recognizing the resolution? Please raise the tag of your name if you wish. So, the General wish to articulate the. Thank you, Mr. President. I recognize Mexico, Angola, and Angola wish to state.
So I have the following co-sponsors.
لدي الدول التالية المكسيك
They have the following countries: Mexico, Oman, United States of America, Nigeria, and Canada.